I'm trying to devise some experiments that will help to clarify an idea that I have, or that a theory that I have about this place. The opposing force, whatever it is, thrives on low vibrational energy. Depression, sadness, anger, fear, all that kind of shit. I've heard people say it tastes better to them, but I don't think it has anything to do with that. I just think it's easier to digest those low vibrations. And I don't think, and the higher it goes, the harder it is to digest, to the point of, if you're very high vibrational, if the energy is high vibrational, they can't digest it, they can't suck it. So the game here is to keep everybody locked in as low a vibration as possible. And it's not that hard. You don't have to be like completely low to be able to be good for them to, you know, digest your energy. As long as you're not too high vibrational, they can suck it down. It's just, it behooves them to make you as low as they can, because they can digest more of it. And that's why everything is geared to do so. Everything's weaponized against you. Every situation that exists, or institution that there is, that's supposed to do one thing, is actually doing the worst thing for you. I've known all this kind of stuff for a while and discussed it with people about how things are made intentionally very bad to keep you upset, or to keep you locked in a lower vibrational kind of situation. And it feels like it's a bit like the Batman meme, like if it's 1% chance is a certainty thing. I kind of feel like if they can do that on any level, then you have to kind of concede that they'd be doing it as far into the red as possible. They'd be trying to make it as bad as they possibly can. So ultimately what's happening here is we're being tortured, mentally, emotionally, being tortured to create the desired effect. We've been put under very distressing circumstances because they've shown they're capable of doing that. So if they're capable of doing that, they would have no reason to do things in half measures. They would crank the volume on everything and keep it there all the time. And I think that's exactly what's happening. We are being tortured here. Now, whether this was a mechanism that always existed in this place, I think, in my theory, my view, is that this mechanism to apply pressure on the inhabitants here to create a certain lower vibration or depression, fear, that mechanic existed. But I feel like it's been hijacked, and whereas we're supposed to be a tool to use in situational dependent, meaning like it would be used for however they do things. I don't think it was meant to be cranked to 10 in perpetuity. And it feels like that's what's happening. The fact that some of us are happy, like myself, and living a good life is accidental completely, in spite of the fact, well, they don't want that for any of us. You know, they want it to be as low vibrational an experience as possible. That way they can digest it more. We're happy. Some of us who are happy or content are in spite of the situation we're in. It's not, you know, they don't want us to be that way because it's no good for them. The higher vibrational we are, the less they can suck out of us, you know. That's just my theory. That's my current thinking. This could change. And like I said, I'm trying to figure out some kind of experimentation process to you know, to get some kind of data on it. You can do this stuff yourself. Like any, you know, they make it seem like science, capital S science, is some mystical force, or that only the very smart with their pieces of paper on their walls that they paid some school for, that they are now a slave to, or else they're not going to have any way to pay the people back for that paper. Like, you need to be one of those guys to think about stuff like this. You don't. It's been designed to look that way, or to seem that way, to keep you from thinking about it yourself or trying to do it yourself. It's always been that way. It's like, well, there's some super smart guy at MIT that has a lot of chalkboards and his hair looks really greasy, and he understands this completely. So go back to bed. He'll take care of it. You know, that's, you know, what they've implied. They're always implying, and what they try to make seem is happening, or that
let's just say they refuse money.
Is the way it is.
Let's just say they refuse money.
It's not though. It's not like that. You can do this stuff yourself. In simple, I should, if I was a more ambitious guy and I really got into this, I have fun doing this, but I'm just not that ambitious. I come up with some experiments that you could do. I could show you mental experiments, construct experiments, that where you can do this kind of stuff yourself without having to have the piece of paper on the wall. Piece of paper on the wall just means you're in this club. Now, you can still do this stuff, but you can't do it legally unless you have the piece of paper. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen a doctor come bursting into my room waiting for an appointment, coming in like Kramer with a laptop under his arm, using Wikipedia to determine diagnosis. Like, oh, so I think it could be this, for real. Like, and I know some of you may have seen it, that this used to happen all the time, especially in mental health. There was one guy that used to carry around a book. He wasn't even doing the internet thing. And it just looked stuff up based on what I was saying. It'd be like, maybe it's this. And next to it, they have a list of medications that they approve of for this exact situation. Like, okay, if this guy's doing this, it could be this, this, or this. What you want to do is try this or give him that. You know, first line medications. All these medications do. All of them, in my experience, and I do have experience in this, just make you drowsy. They make you tired, because if they can make you tired, then you're not acting out anymore. You're not doing anything weird anymore. You're spending 18 hours sleeping, and that's exactly what happens. You know, the first time I was in the hospital and I came out, I had a lunchbox of medications that I'd carry around with me. So I had to take so many pills, and there were so many times of the day. Like, you take this one 3 times a day, so you take it noon, morning, and evening. My whole day revolved around medication, and I would carry that Darth Vader lunchbox with me, because you gotta find humor in things, you know. And I would just, all day was around taking all those different medications, up to 11 at one time. Then it was down to 9. Those are just different types. Then you'd have like multiple pills of each during the day. The only thing they did, because there is no cure for any of this stuff that they diagnose a lot of people with, because the things they're diagnosing people with aren't real. So because they're not real, they have to create some kind of meme medication for it. Sometimes a biotech company or a pharmaceutical company will come up with exactly some kind of medication to treat one of these meme mental health things that they have. And the medication doesn't do anything, because it can't do anything. You can't treat something that doesn't exist. So what it does is it just makes you tired. Every one of these fucking things make you tired. And that's tough when you have a lot of them to take during the day. I can easily see where you could double up on stuff, miss things, and that happens all the time, and that's how people overdose or die. None of it, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving medical advice. I don't know how you could how you could shape this as medical advice anyway, but yeah, it's medicine for things that don't exist. That seems to be the big thing for everything these days. Not just mental health, for health. Yeah, create a meme problem and introduce the solution, which mimics what they say the problem does. A lot of these medications you'd be on, the side effects, like if you're depressed, the side effect for almost all depression medication is suicidal ideation. And they say it right in the ad. And even before the veil had become transparent for me, I was still like, that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? But back then you just didn't, well, back then, well, whenever then was, it was not harder to question things, you just didn't think of questioning them, even if they were ridiculous or sounded ridiculous. So the medications they give you mimic whatever they say the ailment does. Like whatever symptoms are supposed to come with the ailment, the medication will give you those symptoms. And, you know, I've experienced that. But for the most part, they just make you tired. Like there's some medications that would, you know, cause temperament problems and mood swings, which is a big part of many different mental illnesses. So then you'd start experiencing those things because of medication, but it's also listed as part of the initial problem. I just forgot a word. I just lost a word. What is that word? I just lost a very simple word. This is a reoccurring problem where I'll be in the middle of a conversation and saying something, and it's a very simple word. Symptom. I just lost symptom for like 30 seconds there. The medication will give you symptoms of the ailment you're trying to treat. And then when they appear, or you tell them about it, it's like, oh yeah, well, you know, you have meme condition, so of course you have these, you're having these symptoms. We're going to up your dosage to this meme medication. Now, success is measured by patient feedback. It's the only thing they can get out of it, observation and patient feedback. That's all they have to determine this stuff on. Because you can't be hooked up to a machine conveniently to be told you have a certain kind of mental illness or anything like that. They can look at the brain and look at damage in the brain, but that's completely, non-conclusive to a lot of these things. You can't really base anything on that. That could be too much aluminum in your diet. You get the point. I think I just explained it like 5 times in a slightly different way. That doesn't help anyone. But we all know what I'm talking about here. Okay. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.